NetherRealm games are full of slides, the most hated of which is likely Sub-Zero's. It's super fast, has tons of range, and has a damaging, crushing blow. But what if I told you this slide is child's play? That there was a far more powerful slide that put Sub-Zeros to shame. And I'm not talking about reptiles or even scorpions. No, this slide belonged to a different ice character, and her name was Killer Frost. So now we're talking about Frost, and just like every other character in this video, she had a powerful slide named Black Ice. So for starters, the range on this thing was ridiculous, a little bit beyond 2 backdashes, so this girl could slide in from pretty far away and still manage to hit you in the ankles. And of course, this move was also good against a lot of projectiles, especially if they hit high. That's pretty common in NetherRealm games. However, in Injustice games, there are some characters with mid projectiles, so the slide would not work. But even so, that wasn't a big deal for Frost because she had an air dash, and as you all know, air dashes are also good for sneaky cross-ups as well, so even if the slide couldn't get in, the air dash certainly could. And of course this slide also hits low, which means it can be used as a mix-up. This string ends with an overhead, well, now it's a low, so she does have some 50-50s, not as many as some characters, especially for a NetherRealm game, but she does have a couple. So all of that stuff is pretty standard for slides in a NetherRealm game. However, Killer Frost had something special. While she couldn't amplify this move or meter burn it, what she could do is follow it up every single time for a full combo. And this did some pretty decent damage, so look at that, a raw slide and I'm still almost getting 30%. So of course if you're playing Frost and you land any hit at all, you can just cancel into this thing and get even more damage. So it's great for hit confirms and it extends combos for free. Already that's more powerful than most slides you've seen in NetherRealm games. Typically most NetherRealm characters can only end their combos with a slide, and even if that builds towards a crushing blow, you still can't use it to start and extend combos, but Frost certainly can. And that by itself already gives Killer Frost one of the best slides in my opinion, but there's still a lot more to talk about here. And before we go any further, we have to talk about her trait because this also complements her slide very well. So unlike most characters in this game, Frost couldn't just activate her trait. She actually did have to work for it and earn this thing. So you hold down the trait button and you charge it. And you can also backdash and forward dash to cancel this thing if you want to. And if you wanted to build this trait, you had to be pretty creative. Some players would do it on hit like this and just build a tiny bit because you're so plus on hit there, or you can go for a throw and you're about plus 14 or 17 here, so charge a little bit maybe, or end a combo with her 2-2-3. That's like plus 30 on hit, so a lot of charge there, especially if the character doesn't have any far-reaching moves or teleports, you can charge a little bit there. And she also had the back 2-3, which puts the opponent very far away and also like plus 30. So Frost had a bunch of ways to manually charge this thing, but she had to be a bit creative with it. But once this thing filled, the cool thing was, even once it ran out, it refilled instantly. There was no cooldown period. So once this thing runs out, I can just start charging it all over again. So with all of that in mind, you might be wondering, what does this trait do? It must be pretty powerful if it takes this long just to charge. And I do think it's pretty powerful. It doesn't give you a damage buff, but what it does do is keep freezing the opponent every time you hit them. So for example, she can just keep doing can-cans until this trait runs out. Oh, I almost dropped it there, but look at that, 43%, and keep in mind that that was a raw slide. I didn't combo into it, I didn't jump and then combo into it, and yet I still got 43% and it didn't cost me any meter. And Frost in general doesn't need to have meter in this game for most of her combos. And Frost didn't actually need the slide to get the combo started in every situation. I just find that to be the most common one, especially from mid-screen. You land the slide and then just do the can-cans over and over again, and as long as you have trait, they will endlessly combo until it runs out. And of course, Frost could do much crazier stuff than this, especially in the corner, but once again, the slide was always used to extend the combo and then finally end it with the command grab. So just like every other tool Killer Frost has, her character power was also complemented by how good her slide was. But here's the craziest and most unique thing about Frost's slide in this game. It was completely safe on block. So right now, I'm telling Flash to do a 6-frame startup special move and he still can't punish me. He can punish this, a string like that, or he can even punish this. It's -7. He can punish that, but he cannot punish Black Ice because this move is only -4. So despite this move being great for hit confirms and great for starting off combos, flying under projectiles, all that crazy stuff, there's nothing you can do if you block it. The Killer Frost player still gets to escape scot-free. And what this meant was, at a casual level, you can just throw out slide whenever you want to, and the opponent can't do anything. They can try to jump, but since she goes so far, she likely flies underneath you and you can't punish her anyway. So a Frost player would would just do this over and over and over again. Especially at around jumping distance, they would just go for it. And if it landed, they got a full combo, and if it was blocked, they were still completely safe, so no risk and a bunch of reward. So unlike most characters who have a slide attack, she didn't even have to hit confirm. She could just do it, and even if you blocked it, she would be completely safe on block. So no real worries if you're Frost. The only actual difficulty was getting in. But once you were in, and the slide also closed the gap for free because once again, it's completely safe. So at a casual level especially, this slide was ridiculously good. However, we're still not done. Things got even dirtier with this character because she also had a parry. And unlike an MK11 where parries are about the same speed as a regular fast attack, these parries start up in 1 frame a lot of the time. And this was also true for Killer Frost. Her parry started up in just 1 frame. So what this meant was you could do Black Ice and then just go for a parry, and it would snuff nearly every option the opponent had. The only way the opponent could actually avoid this parry was by doing a low attack or a throw. And once they realized that, this shenanigan no longer worked, but keep in mind, it's still a great option, right? You can go for a slide that's not only safe, but you can also parry immediately after and beat most of the opponent's options. And believe me, this parry is much scarier than you think, because if you spin the bar, it freezes the opponent solid for a full combo. So if you wanted to be brave and take your turn back, Frost could go for her parry, freeze you solid, and then start a combo, and of course use her slide to extend the combo for even more damage. And you likely already noticed that Killer Frost doesn't need meter for any of her combos. It's all free of charge with this slide, and what that meant was she pretty much always had a bar lying around to go for this parry whenever she felt like it, and it was very sneaky. If you even dared to take your turn back after a slide and didn't go for a low, she could spend 1 bar and combo you just for trying to take your turn back naturally. And then there's one final move I wanted to talk about that was complemented by Frost's slide as well, her flash freeze. So this is a command grab. One thing I love about the Injustice series is they have tons of characters that have command grabs who you wouldn't expect, like Poison Ivy and Killer Frost. And you likely already guessed that you can extend this by spending bar. Yes, you can, and now it's a full combo just like everything else. And once again, her slide extends the combo for more damage. And as you can see, we're still getting 30%, so as far as you're concerned, that command grab might as well be 30% on its own, because every combo does at least that much damage. And then just like Bane and other grapplers, Killer Frost had a bunch of tick throw setups. So if you were blocking and afraid of this slide, or just thought that Killer Frost would finish her string, she could sneak in this command grab to catch you blocking, and once again, just 1 bar and she gets a full combo. And some of these strings like Frozen Twister were extra dirty because look at all that pushback. You would think that you're safe, right? But nope, the command grab has great range, so she still flies in and grabs you. And she also had this string. Tempest was so dirty because that final hit didn't have to come out. You could cancel the 3rd hit and then catch them. So they expect the final hit, but you stop the string early and sneak in that command grab for a full combo. And then you could even do it after Arctic Frost, or you could do it after Hailstone. Now some of these had a gap big enough that you could interrupt them with a 6-frame jab. However, that situation was actually quite rare. Most of these string setups do not have a gap, but even if you do want to punish that gap, guess what Frost can do? She can go for the slide instead. So if you're like, oh, there's actually a gap here before the command grab, she goes, oh really? I'm gonna slide. If you try to interrupt me, I get a full combo, and that slide is completely safe. So on top of all the things this slide already does for Killer Frost, it was also a great way to ensure the opponent didn't try to interrupt your tick throw setups that did have a gap. Once again, most of them did not, but the ones that did, she could just do a slide instead, and it would catch you trying to interrupt her every time. So at the casual level especially, this command grab was such a menace. Now thankfully, it does have a pretty big weakness that I almost wish it didn't have. It is actually a high-hitting command grab, so you can just straight up duck this thing. And if you duck it, you also avoid the slide as well, because holding straight down actually blocks lows in this game. So a smart player who understood the matchup could just hold down to avoid the command grab and also block the slide. And unfortunately, Frost didn't have too many overheads really, so blocking low was a pretty good idea against her. But even so, she still had awesome hit confirms into the slide. The slide itself was safe, and if you blocked it, she had the parry to try and steal her turn back, all that dirty stuff. So I guess the command grab is just icing on the cake. She doesn't really need it, but I kind of wish it was stronger. I like strong command grabs. And I actually almost forgot something. So Killer Frost also had the iceberg attack. This move only hit mid, but even so, if you went for any projectiles whatsoever, the startup on this thing, as you can see, is almost instant. So really good for countering keep away, zoning, or just catching someone trying to get a breather or do anything from far away. This move could just snag them. And just like every other attack Killer Frost has, this move could also complement her slide because the meter burn version held the opponent in the air for a very long time. So even if you were really far away, you can go for that slide and still make it in time. Now it didn't work from full screen obviously, but even from pretty far away, she could still close that gap, you just had to time it correctly. Or in other words, even from further away, you are not safe from this slide. She can just come in and get that combo started and get some decent damage. Once again, 27%, just because you did something random from jumping distance or further. And then even if you were full screen away from Killer Frost, she could just do the move again. It required a bit of timing, but not very much, and she could just do it a second time and get around 16%. Is it worth 1 bar? Maybe not, but it still makes sure you can't do anything from far away. Okay, so in summary, Killer Frost has a deadly slide with fantastic range, it avoids projectiles, it hits low, and it extends and starts off combos on its own. Very strong. And then on top of that, the slide is completely safe on block, so you can just go for it with a high risk, low reward, and even if it is blocked, you can always go for the YOLO parry and possibly steal your turn back. And then once you have the opponent really scared, you can start going for your command grab, tick throw setups, and if they try to counterattack, you can just go for a slide and interrupt them every time for a full combo, and even if they don't take the bait, it's still completely safe. And then finally, even from further away, this slide can still close the gap and extend combos. So as you can see, I'm not joking when I say Killer Frost has the best slide in any NetherRealm fighting game. But please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Which character do you think has the best slide? And while you're down there, please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It really does help my channel out a ton. And finally, why not keep that combo going by suplexing that subscribe button? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.